This is the most, I thought was the most absurd testimony I've ever heard. David Hull. They asked him a question. How did you know the guy in the maroon shirt was the same as the guy that came up the stairs later that was wearing the American flag black shirt? And he said, they're wearing the same shoes.
Why is that absurd?
That's how you decided these two are the same people. Oh, wow. What a scientific. They're both wearing Converses. Okay. That's an absurd thing to say. That is not evidence that these are the same people if we're both wearing Converses. That was what he said. That's what flew on the stand.
But I still don't understand how that would be absurd. If somebody,
it's an absurd thing.
For instance, if somebody were to change their clothes but keep the same shoes on, wouldn't you utilize the shoes to try to track that person? Not sure if in context that's what happened, but even if it is,
you can get a fact check on it.
But even if it is, again,
and it was
if we're utilizing inferences, whenever we're dealing with logic and we're dealing with making a logical inference, we're going to take the entire collaboration of evidence and then we're going to make inferences from that. You would do that with any type of logical proposition. Otherwise, you could never have a true or false claim.
But you just told me I couldn't.
So
do that.
that never happened. You're just making stuff up.
Well, I guess all I can say is that my tanning bed drives me to work, so I can read the paper and have my coffee. And if I clap twice, all the dogs in the world get an extra wiener. And my dad's a chocolate chip cookie, so your dad is baked inside him. And when I want to relax, I shrink into a pot of soup and float around and use a celery stick as a raft.
So anyway, when we're talking about logical inferences, what I'm looking for is the logical inferences that you have that Tyler Robinson's a patsy based on the totality of evidence that you have.
We can keep going through your other evidence, but we should find his tweet where he lists the reasons that he was convinced.
So let's start with the 30-06. I think that's fine.
Your team's looking for, do you remember how long ago that was?
I don't remember that from the
Well,
time
I'm just saying to you, like, okay. I'm trying to be concise for you.
And then also bring the 801 that you just said. What was the other one?
Yep, the 801. Tyler messages saying it's not hearsay, if you have that as well.
Wait, what are we saying is not hearsay?
Statements that are not hearsay. A statement that meets the following conditions is not hearsay.
It was hearsay. They said it in the trial.
Hang on. Okay. Is consistent with the declarant's testimony and the declarant denies having made the statement or has forgotten, or is consistent with the declarant's testimony and is offered to rebut the express implied charge that the declarant recently fabricated or acted in recent improper influence or motive in testifying. So then wouldn't that mean that a bunch of this wasn't hearsay?
So the issue with his
I just want to make sure.
Yeah.
Would that mean that a bunch of this wasn't hearsay?
What I said to you is this entire preliminary hearing is under Utah's 1102. So they are allowed to just use hearsay. And
no,
so the
you didn't say that.
said,
most of it was hearsay, actually.
Yeah,
the overwhelming majority.
Well, I mean, I'm leaning now into my opinion. That's supposed to be 100%.
Now, when you're talking about intuition, though, when you say trust your intuition, I'm actually giving a different message. You actually should be very wary about trusting just your intuition. It is true that intuition can be useful, but it has to be tempered with logic, reason, explanatory power, and evidence, not just intuition.
That's why we're parking that aside. Parking aside just a general intuition that sometimes might be second messages.
Even if it's the case that this doesn't have an explanation for it yet, that doesn't actually give you any evidence in your corner for Tyler Robinson being a patsy.
Okay,
hang on. I didn't cut you off, right? You would need to actually explain how this would demonstrate Tyler Robinson. This is tied into Robinson being a patsy. Are you claiming that these fingerprints were Lance Twiggs or that he had any DNA there?
This gun was given to Tyler Robinson as an heirloom. I had conversation with members of the Robinson family, Twiggs family, both of them. You know, like I said, we're not just dreaming. And if we're having those conversations and they told me that gun was only given to Tyler Robinson because it was a family heirloom. Okay, so it was his grandfather's gun or great-grandfather's gun.
Okay. How do we get to the patsy part?
You don't let me ever get to the end of the sentence, so how could we get to the patsy part? Obviously, Lance Twiggs, even if he has prints on things, they live together, that doesn't really mean anything. But that could demonstrate that somebody took his weapon and put it somewhere. His prints are the most degraded. Somebody else's prints, there's more presence of somebody else's prints, and that could demonstrate that somebody is taking items from his house and putting it into various places.
But it also could demonstrate nothing. So the problem that you have here is that this is pure conjecture.
No,
this is not evidence that Tyler Robinson is a patsy. It's only evidence that you have conjectured up that, well, if it's the case that these are the more degraded prints, then therefore that means must be patsy because dad's fingerprints on gun.
I didn't say must be patsy.
Describe how this actually links in to Robinson being a patsy.
Okay, I just described that for you, so I can explain it to you, but I can't understand it for you, so I'm going to move on from that. But